And it's to a packed circuit at the Aldo Scribante circuit, an all-time record with queues of cars down the motorway, that we welcome you to the Wesbank Modified Racing. And this is the race they've all come to see here today. A record field of cars. They stretch from there all the way 200 meters back from the line. And on pole position, Saul van der Merwe has done a 1 minute 4.6. It's a time that nobody thought was possible. Alongside him in the new color scheme, Ben Morgenrud in the BP Mazda is right alongside him and flying. And the good news for Ford fans, Ian Schechter in the Sassel Ford is on the second row of the grid. This is a warm-up lap. They get their tires warmed up as they go along behind this Audi Turbo. It is the Audi Turbo race day here at the Aldo Scribante, and we have never seen the circuit more packed. It's unbelievable to see the crowd in a beautiful winter's afternoon, and this is going to be red hot racing. And there's the circuit. They're coming down towards you, down to Audi Corner. Then they'll go about 150 meters down to the Continental S's, where in the Stanek Group N Racing you see all the bumping and barging taking place, and lots of people are sent into the outfield. It's down the dip to Hanger Bend. It's along to the heavy braking of Williams Hunt Hairpin and the right-hand turn where they all try and outbrake each other. Then they go down the dip, lots of G-force. They come down that dip. There's a tunnel between the dip and BP Bend, and it's a tight one. And that's where we saw this morning Saul van der Merwe setting up his new record time. They're getting that big 4x4 Audi Turbo sideways, that four-wheel drive car, something that we've never seen in a four-wheel drive car before. And A-Class on the pole there, Saul van der Merwe. Ben Morgenrud alongside him in the Mazda. Ian Schechter in the Sassel Ford. Then it's Tony Viona flying along, a little bit of gearbox trouble in the M35 BMW. That's the Winfield BMW. Willie Hepburn, that big save at Caltex Opel V8 record, is in there, throbbing his way around. Those are the front runners. Johan Coetzee has put in quick times to be up there with him in the Gearmax Skylines. They come round Williams Hunt Hairpin, you can see them. And there's the Gearmax Skyline in your shot now. Just terriers behind him. Ivor Roche from King Williamstown in the Hyperspace Mazdas alongside Dick Sorensen, the class champion. Then it's Gary Dunkley, the Springbok Paddy drivers there, and that Audi Turbo in the front is hurrying to get out of the way. It's going to be 10 laps. There's the grid. You can see it there at the moment. Number 6 is the car to watch, Saul van der Merwe. There he is, and alongside him is Morgenrud. Schechter's there with the turbocharged Ford, the Sassel Ford, and they're going to be on in a moment. They're watching for that red light to turn to green. It's 10 laps ago, and van der Merwe starts accelerating. And the Ford is alongside them and gone into second position. There comes Viona in fourth in that low-slung M35 BMW. Saul van der Merwe, the Ford's going for on the outside. Onto the brakes, he thinks better of it. Willie Hepburn's got his nose in there too. Willie Hepburn's gone to third. Fourth is Ben Morgenrud, and it's Willie Hepburn in the Sabat Caltex Opel, and there they come. There's the Fram Ford leading the Class D class, and that is Pat Ducker from Pietermaritzburg. Willie Hepburn's right in there as they go through the Conti S's. It's the Audi in front. It's Willie Hepburn second. He's got 20 more horsepower than he's ever had before. Ben Morgenrud's keeping that Mazda rotary right tucked in behind him as they go onto the brakes. Onto the brakes at Williams Hunt Hairpin. It's a tight one. This is where they struggle to get that power on the road. All that V8 power. Hepburn goes sideways. The Audi's in front with the four-wheel drive. Then there's Tony Viona coming next. Ian Schechter's gone back to fifth, and he's been worried all the way there by Johan Coetzee with Ivor Roche on his tail. Coetzee in the Gearmax Skyline. There's just a big cheer going up around the circuit. You can hear it. The people, they're cheering above the sound of these motor cars. You can actually hear it up here in the control towers. They go sideways. They've got this crowd up and thrilled. Hepburn comes through in second position, throbbing through in that big V8, 5.7 litres of Ray Falconer prepared motor, chasing all the way after Saul van der Merwe. And this is going to be a fight to the finish. One lap has gone around this 2.5 kilometre circuit. The Sassel Ford comes through, Ian Schechter, and then we've got the Gearmax Skyline there, and Viona's out. You can see him standing on the right-hand side of the road. It must be gears that he's been putting so much power through that gearbox of that motor car. It looks like he's retired from this race. It's a great pity because he's right up there on the third row of the grid. And this race goes on. There's Ian Schechter now. He was telling us this morning in the pits that it's a real handful to drive. It's the most powerful motor car that he's ever driven. It's difficult to drive these turbo cars. And Morgenrud in number 2 there is giving Hepburn in that big Sabat Opel everything that he knows. He's staying in there with him. Ahead you can see the Audi. Hepburn makes his car very wide as he goes through in the inside of the corner. A very difficult man to pass in Wesbank modified saloon car racing. They come up to finish the second lap. The popping and scooping Audi goes through. It's Willie Hepburn. Then it's Ben Morgenrud. Then it's Ian Schechter, Johan Coetzee, Ivor Roche, and then Dick Sorensen.
8 rondes oor in hierdie baie opwindende wedren. Daar's al reeds heel wat merke aan hierdie motors soos wat hulle mekaar raak deur hierdie draai hulle gebruik. So veel van die baan is wat hulle kan. Dit beteken baie keer dat daar van die klippe en die grond op die baan oorkom. Motors natuurlik op gladde renbande en die vasklou vermoë is baie belangrik. Ons het met 'n hele klomp van die renjaars gesels vroeër en hulle het gekla oor die gladheid van hierdie baan. Baan wat 'n nuwe oppervlakte op het en veral hierdie motors met die geweldig baie kragtige engines het 'n probleem terwyl ons na een sector kyk in die Sassel Ford het 'n geweldige probleem om die vasklou vermoë van hierdie bande so behoorlik as moontlik te laat werk. Wars is dit soos hy daai motor uit hierdie draai sit. Dis die enigste manier om die motor op die pad te hou en die meeste snelheid te kry wat jy kan uit hierdie bande en uit hierdie krag. Maar dis Willie Hepburn en Ben Morgenrood wat hier 'n geweldige stryd is aan die gang is om die tweede posisie. Ben probeer om die buitekant. Dit is oorlog hier, is die begin van die derde ronde. Willie Hepburn in die V8 Sybat Opel rekord en Ben Morgenrood lyk eens my sak so klein bietjie terug daar. Sarel van Merwe nog steeds in die voorhou. Sarel van Merwe wat die vinnigste tyd opgestel het tot dusver op hierdie baan 1 minuut 4,6 sekondes. Ben Morgenrood wat natuurlik probleme het met daardie neus van sy motor, die aerodynamika van die motor is natuurlik so 'n bietjie is nie soos 'n behoort te wees nie, want hy het 'n bietjie te naby gekom waarskynlik op een punt in hierdie wedren aan Willie Hepburn se motor en daarom gaan hy lyk dit vir my so 'n bietjie begin terugsak. Die lugvloei oor die bakwerk is nie wat dit behoort te wees nie, maar Ben Morgenrood en waarskynlik die laaste keer wat hy in hierdie motor gaan jaag en is besig om 'n nuwe 4 aangedrewe Mazda 323 vir hom te bou vir Wesbank gemodifiseerde sedan motors en hy het ook gister vir ons gesê dat hy waarskynlik 'n bietjie die laaste keer vandag in aksie gesien gaan word in hierdie motor. Maar dit is Willie Hepburn in die reuse V8 Opel rekord en Ben Morgenrood wat mekaar hier behoorlik opkuil om die tweede posisie. Sarel van der Merwe, redelike groot en veilige gaping in hierdie wedren alreeds. Die Mazda is ligter en waarskynlik makliker hanteerbaar as die van die uitslike groot Opel rekord. En daarom is hy in die agterste gedeelte van die baan waar die draaie baie nou en baie skerp is hy waarskynlik beter daarin toe as Willie Hepburn. Maar Willie Hepburn wat maar daai V8 engine van hom ontsaglike hoeveelheid krag kan genereer en dit gewoon net kan gebruik om in die hoofboupak daar die gaping tussen hom en Ben Morgenrood groter en groter te maak. Dit is Ben Morgenrood daar op die oomblik in die derde posisie. Ons sien in die stadium nie waar Tony Viana is, die ongelukkige Tony Viana in die BMW M35 die hele klompie radkas probleme gehad gister en eergister in die oefeninge en vanoggend ook met die oefeninge en hy lyk het vir my het alreeds uit hierdie wedren getrek, maar ons aandag bly gefestig om die stryd om die tweede posisie. 30.000 mense hier in Port Elizabeth vandag, die grootste skare wat nog ooit hier op Aldo Scribante saamgetrek. Motor nommer 81 is een van die klas E motortjies. Ek heb die plaaslike klas E motors wat daar pad moet gee vir hierdie voorste bande in klas A. Soos ons sê, 30.000 mense, 'n pragtige sonskyndag hier in Port Elizabeth vandag. En terwyl hulle daar by Chris Grobelaar en sy oupa kadet verbykom, man van Durban, is dit die voorlopers wat al reeds hier aan die einde van die 5de ronde besig is om die agterste manne in te haal. Dis 'n wedren oor 10 rondes hierdie en dit is waarvoor hierdie 30.000 daar staan Tony Viana se motor aan die einde van die middel van die wielpouvak. Hy het nie veel meer as 1 ronde gehad nie. Daar's een sector in die Sassel Ford wat begin terugsak het. Hy het baie goeie posisie gehad op die wegspringrooster. Hy was derde op die wegspringrooster. Johan Coetzee in die Gearmax. Dis die Skyline wat besig is om daar nader aan hom te skuif. En een sector wat sal sy storie moet ken om voor Johan Coetzee te bly.
And half this race is gone as we watch Ian Schechter now heading for the hairpin at Hunt's. At Williams Hunt hairpin, heavy onto the brakes. Now he's got to time it when he puts his foot down. There you can see him working that steering wheel. If he puts the power on too early, the car will come around sideways. And those B-class cars, that's cars up to 3,600 cc just behind him. And that's your Hunt Coetzee. And Ivor Ross, the local boy from King Williamstown, is right in there with him. And they're coming into the picture now. There comes the second and third men. Still showing the battle scars is Ben Morgenrood from pushing Willie Hepburn, but Willie can keep that car good and wide. 6 laps are gone. And don't think it's only that Audi Turbo that's doing the job. The driving of Sarel van der Merwe, who did so well at Le Mans, is in much demand overseas, is part of that parcel, no doubt about it. The talent of that Springbok race and rally champion is incredible. He can take them all on. They always forget about it. They think it's just the motor car, and that's one of the things, but it's certainly the driving of Sarel van der Merwe. He's a brilliant driver as he goes around this circuit. Kyle Army, slow ones, fast ones, tight ones, he can take them all in, and Morgenrood's going for it. He's trying to use the slow traffic as he comes up there. And Simon Probler at the moment lying in Class E, that's second in Class E to Michael Sapira. And Morgan Rood's looking for a place to come through. He's got the lighter motor car. Hepburn's dealing with an immense amount of horsepower. He's just come back from America where he was looking for some trick parts for his car. And we've got the punch marks on the front of Morgan Rood's newly styled motor car. He's got a 3-3 Mazda in fact on the stocks, but it's going to be hard pressed to beat this one. Here are the first three coming towards us, but you can hardly see the third man. He's tucked in behind Willie Hepburn. Charles van der Merwe in the Audi Turbo. They've now finished 7 laps. The Sabat Caltex Opel Record V8, that's the same chassis as they run on the normal records on the road. They've just got these hang-on performance bits, a very good handling chassis. Ben Morgan Rood in that Mazda RX-7, that's the BP Mazda, as they go through the Continental S's and come out of there and go down the dip to Hanger. Very tricky circuit. It's heavy on the tyres. Brand new surface here. Some of the drivers have gone through one set of tyres and 3 meetings of finding 4 or 5 laps in practice on this abrasive surface is all they can get out of the tyres. We finished 7 laps. This is the end of 8 laps coming up now. We just got 2 laps and a little way to go. As they come down through that dip, lots of G-force. Those drivers are belted in 6-point belt straps. They're really belted, and as one into that motor car, they can feel everything the car's doing. Morgan Rood trying a new line. His aerodynamics might have been sorted. He's trying to go through in the inside, but then he's got to deal with that tremendous horsepower. And already Hepburn opens up, lovely shot as he comes past. He opens up something like 2-3 car lengths before he comes to the line. Here comes Peter Lance ahead of us there. There's Peter Lance. Was that Simon Kobler? That's Johan Trundling. He won Class E. That's a 1300 class last year. It's a new name that we're going to hear more about in this class of racing. His little Sean van der Linde, Henny van der Linde, who's now hung up his leathers or his helmet or his gloves, and his son has now taken over the reins. And last Saturday, Swartkorps did very well. These cars are going to see again at Kyalami next Saturday. They're going to be seen as London Grand Prix circuit. That's on the border, of course, a magnificent circuit there on the 22nd, and he's going for it as he goes round Williams Hunt. Hepburn sees him, and Hepburn gets that car wide, and so does Morgan Rood. These two drivers know the driving styles of the other one. They respect each other, and they know when to give ground. Each one of them is very hard to pass. Here's Morgan Rood trying it now. He's going to go wide and try and dive in the inside as Hepburn fights with that V8 horsepower, and it's not working this time. And just watch him open up. There goes the drag racing from BP corner across the line, and Willie Hepburn just goes away from him.
Een ronde oor in hierdie wedren. Sarah van der Merwe nog 'n baie gemaklike voorsprong wat hy het. Maar die stryd om die tweede posisie tussen Willie Hepburn en Ben Morgenrood. In die derde plek nog steeds Ian Schechter. Dit lyk nie baie vinnig nie, maar ek kan vir u sê dat hulle hier in 'n omgewing van 200 km/h teen hierdie hoofbou van afgaan. Daar is Johan Pieter in die Gearmax Nissan Skyline. Hier kom Peter Lance verby. Dan is dit Dick Sorensen. En ons is weer terug by die voorloper. Dit is nie hy nie, dit is George Besuitnout daai. George Besuitnout wat in die sentraatjie, die Nissan sentraatjie jaag en ek redelike gemaklike voorsprong kry. Sarah van der Merwe so pas daar voor die kamera verbygekom. En nou wag ons vir die stryd om die tweede posisie. Daar is dit Ben Morgenrood wat verby is. Lyk my Ben Morgenrood het aangeslag om by Willie Hepburn verby te kom. Sarah van der Merwe in die hoofbouwvak af. Hy gaan nou die gruite vlag ontvang. Sarah van der Merwe gaan die wedren wen. Ontvang die gruite vlag. Maar wat gebeur in die tweede posisie? Is dit Ben Morgenrood of is dit ja, dis Ben Morgenrood. Willie Hepburn is af. Willie Hepburn is weg. Ons weet nie waar hy is nie. Willie Hepburn van die baan af. Agter in die baan, Roger.
Well, I can't believe it. Right on that second last corner, Willie trying everything he knew, was pressured into making a mistake. He in fact comes through in third position ahead of Ian Schechter right on his tail. And then we have leading Class B, Johan could see in the Gearmax Skyline ahead of Ivor Ross in the Hyperspace Mazda and Dick Sorensen in the Sabat Skyline. There's the winner in your picture now, Sarah van der Merwe and the Audi Turbo. It's their race day here today. The combination of that driver, that Springbok race and rally champion, he's 11 times rally champion, and that motor car, the Audi Turbo, is something to behold in the circuit. And these cars from all the major manufacturers in South Africa have certainly brought the crowds here. Sarah van der Merwe wins ahead of Ben Morgenrood and Ian Schechter, Willie Hepburn and Ian Schechter. Class B could see Raj Sorensen, driver, and behind him came Dunkley in the Porsche. Class C, that's the 2-litre class, was Peter Lance in the Sabat Golf. And then Class D, George Bay is in that very pretty little Nissan Sentra, the two-door one, ahead of the Fram Sierra of Pat Duckham. Class E won by Michael Sapira. who more than likely set up another lap record, as he does at every circuit in the country. So there's the car that did it all, and that's Sarel van der Merwe. And the results there, Sarel van der Merwe, as we say, won it. Ben Morgenrud, a little bit lucky there, but they pushed their way through to the end, and Willie Hepburn was about 300 metres. He spun off on the second last corner. Ian Schechter was right on his tail in the Sassel Ford at the end, and Johan could see leading Class B, and that's a real race, a competitive man, fifth in the Gearmax Skyline. Well, that's the position in the Wesbank Modified Racing. You're coming to the front.